Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting. Alrighty, coming to you with the final segment just of the informational section of self-validation. And this is just the wrap up of what I've covered throughout my understanding of self-validation. So by us understanding, okay, the power of our mind, of our thoughts, of our beliefs, of our emotional feelings, gives us control over our lives. But when we understand these factors and how, they shape our subconscious thought, which is, those actions that we naturally take in life, okay, we're able to now understand the power of our spoken word, the power of our beliefs held, the power of our actions taken, and most importantly, the power of our feelings felt. What we're able to do is we're able to take control of our lives. And it's through awareness, it's through mindfulness that we really gain this power. Because even if I know all of this, and in each of the moments, I'm not aware of my subconscious behaviors, which are generally compulsive behaviors because they happen without conscious thought. So they're generally rooted in reactionary. For example, if I touch a hot, element on a stove, my reaction instantly to my brain recognizing that that's hot is, oh, that's hot. And then after that, a couple of seconds later, okay, because I'm not consciously thinking, oh, that's hot. Oh, should I take my hand off that plate? No. Our subconscious brain goes, bang, we need to get out of that situation. So we react much faster than we think. So when we understand this and we're able to be aware of this, okay, we're able to shift our subconscious behavioral patterns or thought patterns into conscious, or we're able to consciously look at them. Okay, and this just gives us more control because we're able to identify what are we reacting to that's, negative. Are we reacting negatively to situations? For example, when someone, says something to me that makes me feel rejected, okay, that feeling of rejected is the subconscious thought, okay, that feeling of not being good enough or something like that is the subconscious thought pattern or the subconscious behavioral pattern. So when I'm able to identify as quick as possible that, oh, I'm feeling rejected and I need to, look at the situation and why am I feeling rejected? You know what I mean? Am I truly, is it something where, someone's coming out and attacking me and there's a valid reason for me feeling rejected? Or is it that I'm just creating this scenario in my mind of feeling rejected based on what they're saying or what they're doing? Okay, so the power of understanding self-validation is, sorry, it's easy for us to validate ourselves consciously. It's difficult for us to validate ourselves subconsciously. But what we've covered in this workshop gives us a better understanding of how we can use our conscious thought to influence our beliefs, which in turn influence our emotional states, which in turn influences our feelings, which in turn influences our biochemical responses is the word I was looking for. So when we're able to do this, okay, we have control. But it's in the situations where our subconscious thought wants to automatically take over and create a narrative of, if someone tells me I'm not good enough, my instant thought, okay, in my subconscious is that I'm not good enough. But what we have to do is we have to be able to implant our conscious thought into that process to be able to understand that this is just someone's opinion. They are just saying this. Why are they saying this? Is there truth in what they're saying? Are my actions, lower than who I want to be? Am I acting in a way that's inauthentic with who I want to be? Because if I'm acting in a way that's authentic with me, that I believe is the person that I want to be, I'm able to reject that feeling. I'm able to create a new narrative and talk myself through. Just remember, okay, in our mind, how we can construct our understanding of reality is through the narratives that we tell ourselves, through the stories, through the meaning that we give to things, through our perspective, through our perception of what is and what is not. Okay, so when we're able to do this consciously and take control through awareness and mindfulness practices of, if someone says something to me that I don't agree with, before reacting, I take a pause and I analyze and think about what they're saying, and then I construct a narrative or meaning or perspective that suits that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes my instant reaction to a situation may not be my true perspective. It may be a conditioned response through my environment or my external environment that I am just, it's a habitual thing for me to react that way. For example, I'll give you a good one. For most guys, this is generally it, but if another male or even a female says you're a bitch, calls you out for being a coward, your instant response is to become highly aggressive, or at least that's my instant response, to say, no, I'm not, you don't know me, and to become defensive and start attacking. Okay. But if I understand and I have awareness and mindfulness, I'm able to look at it and say to myself, well, what reaction are they trying to get out of me? Why would they be taking this action? Are they trying to, make me emotionally unstable to the point of being able to control the outcome of my behaviors through the words that they say, through their attacks, through, manipulation and things like that? Because just remember, many people in this lifetime will look to manipulate you, just like they look to manipulate me. And the easiest way to see this is through the news. So for example, chuck on the news and you'll see that 80% of the news is fear-based. It's all opinion, it's all propaganda. Because what is propaganda? Propaganda is controlling the informational narrative to condition your responses. You know what I mean? So by misleading, by lying, by only showing me fearful content that is, psychologically being derived to cause a fear response in me, okay, they're trying to control how I view things, how I see things. And they might say that, we're just trying to see the whole picture and we're showing, the whole narrative of what's actually going on. But you can look at it in media, especially in written media. If it bleeds, it reads. So people are more likely, okay, to click on posts that are negative, to read articles that are negative, that have negative outcomes. Okay, so for example, if someone's done something like, take for example, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, that trial. Why the hell did it need to be what it was? Why? Because the media knew, okay, if these allegations stuck against Johnny Depp, or if the allegations stuck against Amber Heard, or even if no allegations stuck, if they can create a narrative where you think that Johnny Depp has done something bad, or you think Amber Heard has done something bad, okay, and something negative has happened, it's going to draw your attention. Because for us, okay, we focus on negative outcomes because we don't want that. So it's sort of like when you're walking down the street and there's, let's say there's a big rock in the middle of the street and you're walking down the street, okay? Your brain wants to focus on that, like, hey, avoid that rock. We don't want to kick it. We don't want to trip over, rah, rah, rah. Okay. But you got to understand where focus goes, energy flows. So whatever we focus on becomes our reality. So if I focus on don't kick the rock, don't kick the rock, don't kick the rock, what actually will happen in my subconscious is my subconscious will slowly move me towards that. Okay. And then I'll eventually end up either kicking the rock or tripping over it because I'm so focused on it. Okay. Because you got to understand we're like a bow and arrow, right? Our mind and our body is like a bow and arrow. Our mind is the bow and our body is the arrow. Wherever that bow points and the arrow is released is where we go. So you got to understand this, that it's not that people are out to get you, but people will use your psychology against you, especially in more corporatized scenarios. Like, for example, the leader in investing into psychological studies or producing psychological studies, like the largest producer of psychological studies in the world is McDonald's. Why is that? Because they need it for their marketing, they need it for their branding, they need it for their product development. They're using your psychology against you to create addictive behaviors, to create habitual behaviors, to help overlook things. Okay, to mislead you in the sense that McDonald's doesn't tell you that there's like 168 or 183 different chemicals in a Big Mac. They tell you that it's 100% Wagyu beef or this beef or that beef, fresh lettuce, fresh buns. Yet it's all chemically derived to create a higher level of addiction. And it's not that, it's big, bad, and evil. But if I use, for example, animal fats in my deep fries when I'm cooking chips, opposed to using vegetable oils, okay, animal oils have a higher fat concentrate, have higher, saturation like salt and things like that. So it creates, those taste buds, like it creates, that taste that we crave. Do you understand? Even though it's unhealthy for you. And the easiest way to see this is if you look at the lawsuit Jamie Oliver over in the UK took out against McDonald's, to where he won a law case against them in the English courts, where they are no longer able to say their food is healthy because their food is not healthy. It is not actually food because of the amount of chemicals and other things like that they put into it. So understanding this is understanding that constantly throughout our life in marketing, okay, and marketing's a big one for this, we are getting bombarded with psychologically targeted messaging. In advertising, in media, we're getting bombarded by psychologically targeted, media, stories, news events, okay? And the thing about this is when we're unaware of this happening to us, when we don't have conscious understanding about our subconscious behavioral patterns in terms of, if you tell me something that causes fear in me, I'm going to try and go the other way. But what you're able to do is you're able to artificially manipulate that fear to that fear directs me to the result that you want to get. So, for example, in sales, this is a common practice, okay? That if I want you to buy a certain order size, okay, what I do is I try and sell you a much larger order size. That way you go, oh, I don't, for example, let's say we were selling shares and I start off with 100,000 shares. That's what the average is for my buyers, 100,000 shares. But when in reality, I want you to buy between 5 to 10,000 shares. So what I do is, oh, you don't want to buy 100,000 shares? Well, for this one time, what I'll do is I can start off at 20,000. Does that sound good to you? No? Okay, what about 10,000? What about 5,000? So by the time we get to the targeted amount, okay, you feel like you're getting a better deal than you actually are, rather than me just coming out and saying, I want to sell 10 or 5,000 shares. So you got to understand this at, like, many people are using your psychology against you without you even knowing. And when we're not conscious about how our subconscious behaviorals patterns, how our subconscious emotional states, how our subconscious feelings are created, okay, it's quite easy for someone to mislead us by showing us something that isn't true and directing us to the result that they want. Okay, so this is an important thing because it happens in relationships as well. Okay, so like, for example, a common thing that people do, all right, who are players, who are womanizers, who are whatever they may be, is they will degrade you so that you feel rejected, so that you feel like you need their admiration or appreciation, or you need their acceptance. Because if I make you feel like I don't accept you on a psychological, like on a psychological state, or whatever you call it, right? What's going to happen is you're going to feel a compulsive need to try and appease me, okay, to try and make me like you. And the reason for this is it's a survival mechanism. All right, sorry about that. But it's because it's a psychological response. For example, if I'll get back to what I was saying, but basically, if what happens is if I reject you, okay, you're gonna feel a need to want to be around me. Now, the reason that this comes up and the reason that this is a thing is because what happened in our past in terms of, you know, how we developed and grew from being primates and things like that, is we needed safety in numbers. Now, if I get ostracized by the group in a survival situation, my ability to survive dramatically decreases, okay? Because you've got to understand things like predatory behaviors. So, for example, if we were living, you know, in the jungle, there is much more safety for me to survive if there's 30 people around me than if there's only me, because it means that the likelihood of a predator attacking me directly is 1 in 30. Whereas when I'm alone, the likelihood of a predator attacking me is 100% if that predator is around me. Now, that's not to say that, you know, you've got a higher likelihood of surviving, but statistically you have a higher likelihood of surviving. So what you got to understand is these subconscious behavioral patterns are developed based on how we evolved, how our society evolved. Okay. And the thing is that if I reject you, okay, what will happen is you'll feel like I'm pushing you out of the group. And especially if it's in a group situation to where I am among many and then I reject you, okay, what's going to happen is you're going to feel a need to try and get into the group because there's safety in the group. Okay, that's just like why majority of people who don't agree with society don't just go out and live in the wilderness on their own, because it's quite difficult, it's hard, but some people do, and you can survive doing that. Okay, and you can live an amazing life out in the wilderness. Many people do, but the thing is it's so much more difficult than if I just accept it and live in society. So you got to understand, like, when we're talking about self-validation, okay, the most important aspect of this is awareness and mindfulness in the moments, because they help us to be able to define and understand what are my beliefs and thoughts and what is society's beliefs and thoughts. Do they align? Because if, for example, okay, you have a belief that, you don't want to be around narcissistic, egotistical people that mislead you, manipulate you, and use you, and you're in society, and the groups around you are narcissistic, egotistical people who manipulate and mislead you. What's going to happen is you're going to start to erode your self-worth, your self-respect, your self-belief, your self-confidence, and you're going to start eroding it because you're taking actions that are inauthentic with who you truly believe you are. So the importance is in understanding that when we can gain control over our conscious mind, okay, and when we can gain awareness and mindfulness over our subconscious mind, we're able to then dictate our external environment to us, okay? So what we have to understand is this control is a big thing, because either we consciously control it or we allow other people to consciously control us. Because if I'm not taking responsibility for my actions, for my beliefs, for my thoughts, for my feelings, anyone can come along, and if they know how to trigger my emotional states, they are able to dance me like a puppet. And you'll see this in highly egotistical, highly narcissistic, people, manipulative, predatory people. Is what they do is they look to play on that. Okay, people who seek to manipulate people, like conmen, scammers, womanizers, all of that. Okay, these people that have no ethical code, that look to take from others rather than to build others up, their whole identity or their whole power structure is rooted in being able to take away your internal power. And now your internal power comes from your self-validation. Because, for example, let's take a womanizer, all right, or a chauvinistic person that thinks they're better than the other sex. Well, if I validate within myself who I am, and you come up to me and you try to make me feel rejected, and you try to make me feel less than who I believe I am, okay, if I have strong self-validation, I will become aggressive and defensive and hostile towards you, because I will see that you're trying to tell me something that isn't my truth, okay? When you try to manipulate a strong person, it doesn't work because they've got that internal strength. So predatory people that look to take advantage of other people seek to capitalize on people who don't have self-validation, self-worth, self-belief, self-confidence, self-love. Because if you've got self-love, self-belief, self-confidence, and self-worth, if someone tries to take that away from you, you're able to identify straight off the bat that, no, I am not that person. You may think, that I am worthless, but I am not worthless. You may think that I am not loved, but I am loved from myself. So that's the beauty of this workshop, is to really give you that power to be able to take control back of your life, to be able to take control back of your mental and emotional states. Because many predators in this world will look to control your mind and enslave you. Don't ever let them. Don't ever let anyone into your mind. You are the guardian of your mind. And if anyone shall come against your mind and try to disrupt and destroy your mental state, you must be prepared to attack them with all of your ferocity, okay, to defend yourself and go to war regardless of the outcome, because that is the only way that you are able to protect yourself. So, for example, attacking someone may look like this, that someone looks to manipulate or misuse you, okay, and you instantly go, no, and you turn around and you walk away. Okay, you've just rejected them and said no, and then you turn around and walk away. You don't have to attack them. Okay, but for me personally, if you look to manipulate and misuse me, okay, and you try and get up in my mind and start to destroy my mind, you better be prepared for war. That's what I say to everyone, because I become unreasonable. I become irrational, and I will attack anyone physically that tries to mentally control and manipulate me, because I personally choose that route. Now, it doesn't mean that I just attack people for no reason, okay? But if you were trying to manipulate, misuse, degrade me, I give you the offer that we can walk out onto the street and I'm willing to die today. Are you? And that's the thing. Predators are weak. Predators are cowards. Predators will only ever look to attack the weakest pack, the weakest pack member, the weakest person that they can find. So I choose to confront it with maximum aggression and strength, to where I show them, you can attack me, but you're not going to have fun attacking me. I'm going to make it the most painful and difficult and disgusting experience for you to try and take me down. Now, the reason I do this personally is because if I treat everything at that level, when someone tries to enslave my mind or manipulate me or to bring me down, they are going to get a rude awakening and a shock to where I am willing to go further than they are willing to go. And that intimidates most people, okay, especially predators. Predators won't ever fight one-on-one. Predators won't ever confront strength. Predators will only seek to prey on weakness. So if you show strength and you show utter determination and utter willingness to defend yourself in whatever form that looks like. So another form may be that if someone tries to manipulate me or get into my mind, maybe I'll disrespect them and I'll treat them like the lowest human being. Do you know what I mean? Like, I personally, okay, I'm not promoting anything, but I personally don't see a problem with degrading and coming down on people and treating people like they are nothing if they treat me that way. Okay, it's not all about being meek. Okay, the true meaning of meek is he who has strength but knows how to wield it. He who has strength but knows when to use it. Okay, there is some situations in this lifetime where turning the other cheek, turning away and walking away, you're not dealing with the problem, because while they did not, get to you, the next person is going to be preyed upon. So I choose to confront that. I choose to be the one that stamps that out. And it's not that I promote violence, but it's that if I see you're a predatory person and you're looking to prey on weak people, you can't do anything to me, but not everyone is as strong as me mentally. Not everyone is as strong up here. Not everyone can see. So I look to put myself in harm's way to be able to defend those who cannot defend themselves, because that is what true strength is. That is what it means to protect and serve other people personally, which we should always do, because that's how we build strong relationships with those around us. When we're willing to go to war for the person next to us, not because they want it, but because they need it, that is a true show of strength. And if our communities had more strength in terms of people looking out for other people, okay, there is many, many, many multitudes of great people in this world that do amazing things. But the problem is we defer our protection to third parties, to the police, to the military, to this, to that, to the other, okay? And what really needs to be done is we need to stand up and say, this is unacceptable behavior in my presence. You have identified yourself as a predator. You are now at odds with me. Whatever it may be, my life does not matter. Do you get it? It's not that I think that my life is worthless. It's that in that moment, it's not about me. It's about who are they going to try and target next. So if you ever see a person beat a dog, don't ever let that slide. Put yourself in front of that person and that dog and make that person wish that they had never taken arms against that dog. If you see a man beating a woman, you put yourself in front of that male and that female, and you say to that male, try and beat me. It's okay if you beat me. I can take the punishment. I can take the pain. It's not about violence. It's about being willing to stand the line of what you believe is being true, being able to validate your beliefs internally, your thoughts and your emotions, and being able to live with your actions. Can you live with your actions? Do your actions truly represent who you want to be in this life? For me, if I did not stand in front of that person, I would never be able to live. I wouldn't be able to live with myself and look myself in the eye. Because for me, I believe that me taking that punishment is a much better scenario than a woman taking that punishment. And I know for a fact, I don't care how big the guy is. What's he going to do to me? Cause me pain? Kill me? That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is if I lower myself, if I fail to take action. So you got to understand, this is how we build it within ourselves. We got to take a stand on what means something to us in this lifetime, what means something to us in this universe, and we got to stand for it. And we got to not, hope and wish that someone else will do it. Like if we believe that we're that person, then we take that action, regardless of the consequences. Now, I'm not saying that we go out and we just violently assault people, but what I'm saying is we have to be willing to take that suffering, okay, to show that person, you cannot hurt me. There is nothing you can do to me. You may break me, but you will never shake me. Do you understand? Because that is true strength. True strength is being willing to endure whatever you need to endure and to smile while doing it. All right. So when we're able to do this, okay, and we're able to build this fortitude within ourselves, we are able to help lift other people. We're able to help empower other people, because what you have to understand in life, in our psychology, is we will naturally always look to support someone doing the right thing. We will naturally want to stand with that person. Okay. It's the willingness to stand in the fray that gives others courage. It's the willingness to do what needs to be done, to stand for what you believe in, that gives other people courage. Okay. So that's a little bit of a wrap up of the self-validation workshop. And yeah, I hope it helps you, and I hope you get some value out of this. And I hope that you're able to take control of your version of what your life looks like, because it's not up to me to define it. It's not up to anyone else to define it. You define it just like I define it for myself. All right. Well, you have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.